Hello and welcome to another day on the plot and in my garden. Today I'm going to continue with the mass planting out of my squashes, cucumbers, beans, possibly my leeks and whatever else I can find. So let's make a start. This bed in front of me here is free at the moment, but it's not going to be free for long. It's going to have my cucumbers, some of my beans and some of my squashes in there. So I need to make a couple of frames for my cucumbers and squashes to climb up, and then the A-frame for my runner beans and some of my French beans. So let's get on with that. So I begin construction on my bean and squash structures by putting two canes in each corner of the bed to make a sort of A-frame shape. I'm just putting the crossbar in now. They're going to be fairly high for the squashes to climb up against. I'm making a start on the bean frame now in the middle, and I'm having a bit of an issue putting the middle cane in because the ground is too hard. So I'm just having a bit of a moment's think now of what I can do. And then I remember that what I've done in the past is I've put two supports up either side of the overall frame. So I'm using line pins here, which I'm going to push into the ground as far as they will go. And then I'm going to attach a cross beam to that to make a sort of like an N shape, as it were, like I'm showing you here now. And then I can just tie the canes onto that support. And I forgot to bring my hammer, so I'm now using a brick to hammer in these these line pins. So I didn't come very well prepared today, did I? But I'm just tying them all in now, just to make sure that they're all firm and there's a lot of support there. And now I'm putting the canes into their final positions. So hopefully I'll get the cane in as far as it will go, but then it'll have the additional support of the crossbeam going across the middle, which is hopefully going to keep the beans upright for the whole of this season. When I've secured these bean structures, I'm going to move on to putting the netting in place around the squash structure. So I'm just securing the cross member here, which will hopefully keep them all in place. I did want to put some additional supports at the bottom of each cane, but I forgot to bring the right size with me. So I'll have to do that another day. But I'm just attaching the netting now to see if it will reach the bottom, so I can peg it into the ground, into the soil, and it seems to fit that side. So that's good. I just need to see if this side is going to reach as well. And the answer is yes, it does, but only just. It does need a little bit of stretching down to the bottom for it to actually anchor into the ground. But at least it fits. And now that I've got them both in place, I'm just cable tying the two sides together along the top of this cross member. And then I'm also cable tying it in to the sides to make the structure more secure. And now you can see me pegging this into the ground, and it does hold quite nicely. So hopefully the plants will trail up here really nicely. And once I've anchored in the other side, I then move on to the frame that's out of shot at the moment, and I get that one sorted exactly the same way as I did this one. And that's all the frames up now. This one in the middle, I've only got the two frames done. I'm waiting for more beam poles to arrive, so I'll finish that later in the week. But yeah, this is all good to go now. So the variety I'm going to be planting out in this section are 2 Marketmore cucumbers. Now when I potted this one on, there was only 1 seed that had grown, but now another one has come through. So I'm just going to separate those 2 plants and plant 2 going up that A-frame there. And then the squash plant that will go up this side is Robin's Koginut squash, which I've never grown before, and I'm quite excited to try. And the same thing has happened with this pot, that I've got 2 growing in this pot and 1 in the other. So I've got 3 squash plants overall to put in this section here. These beans here are Blue Lake French climbing beans. So they are ready to go in up these 4 canes here. And on this side, I've got 8 runner bean plants ready to go in. So I'm excited to get these in the ground. And on this side, I've got a different variety of cucumber. This one is Space Master. And again, it's done the same thing, where it's grown one much later than the first one. But then maybe that means we'll have a longer, successional harvest, fingers crossed. Got some nasturtiums just to plant in and around the bed. And then this is my only butternut squash plant. So that was the only one that germinated. And the other 2 squash plants are called Tetra. I've never grown this variety before either, and it's meant to be a no waste plant, so you can harvest the fruits when they are young, before the skins harden up, or you can leave them and harvest them later in the season. But the idea is that you harvest them whenever, so even later in the season, if you've still got young fruit on them, you can harvest them and eat them. So I'm excited to try these. They should mature within 60 days apparently. So let's get all these in the ground. That's this bed all planted up now, well, apart from this missing bit here, but I'll do that in the week. And I just need to give it all a good water, and hopefully they'll grow away. I can't really protect this bed. I've kind of run out of netting and everything. So I'm gonna just have to hope that the rabbit doesn't eat all the things I've just put out. But I suppose if I don't take the covers off things, I'll never know if we still got rabbits or not. They have caught another 2 rabbits in here, one yesterday morning and 1 this morning. And I'm just hoping that that is an end to it, really. But, oh well, it is what it is. Hopefully the plants are big enough, well, the squashes are big enough that they will recover if they're eaten. And I guess if the runner beans get eaten, I'll just have to buy some more from a garden centre. Anyway, there's no point in worrying about that until it happens, is there? I prepared this bed earlier this week, so let's take a look at what I did to get this ready. The job I want to get done in the next 20 minutes is to dig out this rectangle here, like I've done with the one behind me, so that I make it an in-ground bed, and put the spoils from in here onto there. I've wet the cardboard already, but the sun is really hot, so I need to work fast before the cardboard dries out. So once I've put the spoils from here in there, I will then put the compost from my garden that was on the pathways down as like a first layer, and then the compost from what was my compost beds on top as a second layer. I need a brush to get this level. That usually does the trick. For some reason the rake seems to leave divots, but a brush seems to get it quite flat, so I'll have to bring one down from home. I had real trouble digging into this ground. The other bits of ground weren't this hard. This is really, really hard to dig into. I think I might need an axe or a mattock or something. So I'm going to have a think about that, because I do want to dig it deeper than this, so that when I put the plants in, they'll have, you know, I'll be able to get a good hole in the ground to get the plants in. If I put them in there, I won't be able to dig the hole for the plants. So I need to think about this. But another bed complete. Yay! And now that the bed is ready, I wanted to plant my leeks in here, but I've run out of time because I need to water, and then I need to go and get my children. And I have been planting out at home though, so let's have a look at the progress I've made at home. One last job to do before we go home is to harvest my garlic. I was just about to water this bed, and I looked at the garlic and I was like, this is ready to come out. This is looking dire now. So I'm not expecting much because I transplanted them earlier this year. So you know what? It's a garlic clove, and it might not last us all year now, but we still have some from last year. So it probably will last us, I expect. But I'll get on and harvest the rest, and then I'll show you what I've got when I'm done. You can see the tomatoes a bit better now without the garlic in there. So this is what we've got. They're not hugely big, you can see my hand, but they're a good size. They're not too bad. I mean, we'll get a few meals out of them, and they'll probably last us about 6 months, I would have thought. Got two different varieties. I can't remember which one this is. I think that's Solent White, and that's Marco, I think. But it's from Saved Seed that I've had a couple of years now. But we might start again this year and buy some, because if these cloves are small, I tend to find that the garlic that grows from small cloves tends to be small. So I think we might buy in some fresh garlic seed this year. But I'm pleased with our harvest. I'll take it home and let's go and see what I've been up to in my garden. It is too hot at the moment. It is really hot. I'm doing a little bit of hunt the shade to go and work in all honesty. So I think I'm going to do a bit of potting on. But beforehand, I wanted to update you with progress that has been made in the garden, because the chicken coop has been moved. Yes, the chicken coop has been moved. It isn't exactly where it should be because it needs to be raised up onto the sleepers. And the moment it's just where me and my lovely mum managed to drag it to yesterday. But in the next couple of days, I'll sort out where it's actually going to go and cut the sleepers to size and everything. So I'm really pleased with that. Let's go and have a look at my greenhouse at the things that need potting on. These tomato plants were in the greenhouse, but I took them out earlier on today because I was going to pot them on now. But I thought I'd just show you these plants because it will be relevant to what I show you in the greenhouse in a minute. And before we go in the greenhouse, I just wanted to say, do not panic when you see the sunflowers because they are looking dreadful, but it is the height of a really, really warm day over here today. So they are really drooping. So don't panic. I'm going to pot them on very soon. Okay, so we've got the morning glory and the Thai basil there. That's fine. That's all right. I'll probably pot some of this on with some of the tomatoes I'm going to pot on. My lettuce, that needs to go out as well. Here are the sunflowers that are looking quite dreadful. But I watered them yesterday, so they haven't run out of water. It's just that they're in compost that they need to be potted on essentially, and then they'll be happy until I can put them in their proper places. These tomatoes here, these are fine too. They haven't wilted. I just need to work out which tomatoes to pot into their final place and which tomatoes to just pot into like a temporary pot before they go elsewhere. And I'll show you what I'm talking about now. So in this corner here, I've got these grow to tray things from Autopot. And the idea is you can rig them up to a water butt and put your grow bag in here and then grow 3 of whatever plants you want to grow. And I've got 2 of those grow bag tray things. And if I put the grow bags in them now, they're going to be really hard to move when I'm going to move them into my, final greenhouse, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be done this season. Looking a bit doubtful now. But anyway, so I'm not sure whether to ditch the grow bag trays for this year and just pot everything into 10-litre pots, or whether to pot some tomatoes into like a 5-litre pot and then plant them into the grow bags when hopefully the greenhouse is ready. But I think my plan had better be to pot them into 10-litre pots and maybe find somewhere else for those grow bags to go. I think that might be a good plan, mightn't it? And down here, under all this, not rubbish, but just, trays and pots and things, I've got 6 10-litre pots that I grew my tomatoes in here last year. So it would seem silly not to use them to grow the tomatoes in again this year. So I was thinking, as well as those pots underneath the grow station, I could probably fit 4 pots here, and then maybe 7 or 8 pots like along this line in front of these tomato plants that are growing here, because I've also got 2 aubergine plants to go somewhere and another cucumber plant to go in here. So we're a bit pushed for space at the moment, but I think I can make it work. So yeah, I think I'll get on and pot up some tomatoes, and then we'll see where we're going to put them, as well as potting up the sunflowers, because they need to be done desperately or I'm going to lose them. So I'm going to set up a little workstation here in the shade, pot on those tomatoes. I've got my fresh compost here and a tub to make the mix in, because I'm going to add some perlite and some fish blood and bone into the mix. And it is looking a bit messy, but this cardboard is to go to the allotment. Although now I'm looking around the garden, we are looking a bit like Steptoe's junkyard here. Let me show you. So we got this lovely mess here, and then the wheelbarrow and some spare frames that I'm hoping to take to the allotment. Then over there in the background, we got the temporary chicken coop up for where we were moving this one yesterday. So we moved the chickens. Then I've got all these bags here ready to go to the allotment, and they are compost that has been dug up essentially from where now the chickens are sitting. But behind the chicken coop, you can see there's still some compost there that needs digging up. And then over here, I've got, it is compost in the bag, but it's compost from where the paths were. So I want to use this as the base for my beds down the allotment, rather than this compost, which I want to use as the top of the beds. It is a wonder we haven't got the rag and bone man coming down to collect things. We are in a bit of a mess, but we are just waiting for certain jobs to get done, and then we can, you know, move things along and tidy up and hopefully eventually have a nice garden to relax in. However, for now, I shall get on with potting those things, and I'll show you what I've got when I'm done. So I was out here until it was dark last night. I think I went in about 10:20 by the time I sorted everything out. But let me show you what I've done. So I just shoved everything really in the greenhouse last night because I'd run out of time. But this is mostly now all that's left to find homes for things. You see, I give everything a good old water. Some of the lettuces were lost, but the others are fine. I'll plant them out next. Just got a handful of tomatoes left to go out. I forgot that these beans were in amongst the sunflowers. I planted a packet of beans. These are called Chinese beans, and this was the only one that germinated, so I need to find a home for that. And then these were looking dreadful yesterday. I must admit, even I thought I might have let them dry out a bit too long. I wasn't letting them dry out, you know, but I thought, oh, they're looking a bit awful there. Maybe they won't bounce back. But I'm pleased to say they have bounced back. On this one, well, they're all a bit like this, but this one has even got fruit beginning to form on it. So that was a bit of a shock. I hadn't even realised. And a lot of them have got a bit of fruit forming. And I thought it is worth showing you this one here, because when I sowed them under my grow lights back in January and grew them on, when I put my onions out into the greenhouse in February, I accidentally put that little pepper out by mistake. So all the other peppers grew on under the grow lights. And then that little pepper was obviously out here exposed to the cold of the, you know, the winter nights and everything. And you can see the difference between the growth on the ones that were under the grow light and the ones on that one that was out here. So it is putting on a bit of growth. But when you compare it to this one, it's so far behind. I don't even know if it's worth bothering with, but I probably will. I usually do. Oh, the aubergines are the only ones I didn't pot on last night. They're going to go in a 30-litre pot, so 2 in a 30-litre pot in my front mini greenhouse. Here's all my tomatoes that I potted on yesterday. There's all different kinds here. And then there's one cucumber one there. So I've got Sweet Million here. Those two are Tigerilla. These two are Elsa Craig. These two are Super Marmand. And these two are Golden Sunrise. So they are looking good. I've just given my tomatoes a slight prune. So there's a big boy one growing there. And what I did is I just took all the bottom foliage off. And then with some of the branches, not all of the branches, but some of them, I snipped off about half the length of the branch as well, just because it was getting a bit out of hand, that one, because it's a big plant to support a big fruit. And then these ones, these are black opal, nice little truss on there, and there's a few more set in there. And then this one next to it, this is Shirley. So the first truss is down here. That's looking good. The basil I planted in here is doing well as well. It's a bit further along on this one. And the marigolds are actually, romping along. They're doing really well. And then this one is sun gold. And that's beginning to turn colour now. But this sun gold is quite wild, that one. I had to do quite a lot of side shooting. You've got to keep an eye on that sun gold. It'll soon get out of hand, and you'll have bits growing off it everywhere. So that's been my experience. First time I've grown sun gold, so I'm excited to try them. And I thought it was worth showing you. I only filled this up last week and it's already down to there. So I need to fill that up today and give it another feed. But doesn't normally go that quick. It's a sign of how hot it is in here, because these plants must be very thirsty, bless them, because the last few days have been very hot. And it's worth saying that this reservoir really should only be supporting 4 tubs, not the 8 tubs that it is supporting. But because I'm quite constricted on space in here, I decided to attach those extra 4 onto that one. These indoor cucumbers at the back are Telegraph. I've never grown them before, but they are doing the best I've ever grown cucumbers indoors. They don't normally grow very well for me, but I have noticed there are a few offshoots, as it were, or side shoots we could call them, and I was wondering whether I should cut those side shoots off or not. I'm not sure. I'm not very good with cucumbers. I kind of let them do their own thing. But do you think I should chop them off, or do you think they'll be fine to grow the side shoots on? Please, somebody let me know in the comments below. And then the aubergines are beginning to get flowers on them. Or at least, something forming. So they are looking good too. And I'm sure what you all wanted to know was how the sunflowers were getting on. So I put them in my cold frame, but I'll be leaving the top off the cold frame. And they have bounced back. So that was great. I've put them in here though, because I thought it was probably too hot for them overall now in the greenhouse, and I will just leave them to grow on, because I've potted them on. I'll leave them to grow on in this cold frame with the lid off until I'm ready to plant them out down the allotment. So hopefully they'll be okay for 2 or 3 weeks here. Right, let's go and plant some of these lettuces and tomatoes and any other little bits and pieces I've got. Let's try and find a home for them around the garden. So I've got 6 lettuce. The rest looked a bit dubious, so I thought I won't bother with them. 6 will be enough for us. And I'm just going to plant them in this bed where I put my pumpkins last time. They should be fine in here. The lettuce should be done, before the pumpkins sort of smother them out, is what I'm hoping. Here they are, all in. Hopefully we'll get a nice harvest from them. My next job today is to fill the gaps in this bean bed. So this variety that's in the bed is called Royal Burgundy, but for some reason germination has been really haphazard, and I did want to keep all of this bed as royal burgundy, but I feel like if I plant some more royal burgundy now, these ones might grow bigger and shade them out, so they might not ever go, you know, to their full potential. So I'm going to put some Blue Lake beans in here as well. So I'll have the purple and the green, and I don't think they cross-pollinate, but I figure it's better to give it a go, because I've got the beans here. They're all they're ready to go. So why not give it a go? So the ones that have got 2 in them, I'll just plant the 2, because the other ones I've got 2 either side, but this one I'll just plant the 2 rather than break the beans apart. It'll probably be better for the roots for me to do it this way, really. I'm pretty sure I fish blood and boned it when I sowed the beans, so I don't think I need to do that. That's one full looking bean bed now. If I got some space, I'm gonna use it. So I'll get on and weed this bed, and then I'll bring you back. That's the bed all cleared. Big pot of weeds there. And look, I must have had like a snail hotel in here. That pot is filled with snails. I'm just going to go and put them in the back field now. But hopefully there's none lurking anywhere else. But yeah, look at that. Oh, look at that one making an escape. So I've got here my dwarf borlotti beans. I've planted the other ones down the allotment in between my sweet corn, but these are left over. So these are going to be the first that go in the bed. I'm going to gently break them apart. And I'm going to plant them in a row, very close together, so they support each other when they grow. It's not the sort of spacing that is recommended, but it should work fine. Just need to put a bit of fertilizer in the planted pocket. And hopefully they won't all get munched by snails. There they are, all nicely in a row. I'm sure as I plant more things out, there'll be more plants going in that bed. But that's that one for now. Let's go and have a look at another bed. So in these beds here, you will have just seen me plant 2 experimental cucumbers that side, 2 experimental cucumbers this side, a nasturtium in the middle, and then 2 tomato plants. These are a bush variety and they're called Ace 55 VF. I thought they were a cordon variety, but they're a bush variety, which is probably why they didn't grow very well last year, because I was growing them as a cordon. So there we are. So this bed is full up now as well. We've got the borlotti beans there, the dwarf borlotti beans, and then we've got Heinz tomato plants everywhere else in this bed, apart from this one Chinese bean plant. So looking forward to seeing what the beans are like on that plant. And fingers crossed everything will grow well in this bed. I just got to water everything in now, but that's enough planting for today. I've been Bethan. This has been a lovely job.